Hello everyone, Nick here, and welcome to my reaction to the Doctor Who 2021 New Year's Day special, Revolution of the Daleks. This is a following a first viewing, so this is just all on thanks to the first viewing. It is 12:34 p.m. on Saturday, the 2nd of January 2021. So this is almost 18 hours after the episode actually started broadcasting. I will be rewatching the episode for a review, which I will be doing on the Universal's YouTube channel in a few days' time. And there will be a link video on this channel. And there will be a revisitations review of it, either just before Series 13 or this time next year after a year has passed since the episode. So, Revolution of the Daleks. My initial first thoughts, and I'll try and be more spoiler free or keep spoilers to a minimum in this reaction before going into a bit more detail in the reviews. So, the plot of Revolution of the Daleks follows on from Resolution, the 2019 New Year special, which featured this Dalek, the Reconnaissance Dalek. This is the Doctor Who figurine collection figure, number 157. After that Dalek was destroyed at the end of Resolution, the Dalek mutant was thrown into a supernova at the end of the episode. But before that, they destroyed the casing which it had built for itself from Sheffield steel. So the Dalek would go inside that. And then towards the end of the episode, the Doctor defeated it using a oven microwave thing. But that only damaged the casing, and so they had to deal with the mutant Dalek with the supernova. Now, after the destruction of the casing, it was then moved from GCHQ. I'm not sure where it was going. I'm not sure who was taking it. But it was then acquired by Jack Robertson's company. You remember Jack Robertson from Arachnids in the UK? No? Well, I'm not going to go into detail about that episode, but basically he was this guy who owned a chain of hotels and was wanted to run for president. And underneath this particular hotel he built in Sheffield, there was waste, toxic waste underneath it. People just been dumping toxic waste, and because of that, it was a land that was being sold cheaply to Robertson, who was able to build a hotel on top of it. However, the toxic waste was causing spiders to mutate and grow. So that's a summary of Arachnids in the UK as well. This episode's tying in a lot of threads with previous episodes from the last two series. So Robertson acquires this Dalek casing and he takes it to a technology firm that he's been working with, headed by this guy called Leo, and he's working with this politician lady to try and get her into a higher point of politician status in exchange for him getting more money and deals with business. Eventually, they develop these new drones, the security drones, which are they do sort of look like this Dalek, but they're kind of slightly a bit different as well. It's slightly more, it's getting closer to what we know as a normal Dalek casing, and they're painted black, and they're supposed to be security robots. So they're tested out, and then a year later they're rolled out nationwide. Ryan, Graham, and Yaz now back on Earth after the events of the Timeless Children. I was going to say the Doctor Falls for some reason. After the Timeless Children, they're on Earth. Yaz is trying to find a way back to the Doctor. Ryan and Graham are trying to protect the planet, and then so the three then try and investigate the Daleks and try to confront Robertson. Meanwhile, the Doctor is in space prison, and she is rescued by none other than Captain Jack. And so the Doctor and Jack then return to Earth and team up with the fan to stop the Daleks. As Leo has cloned some of the organic cells that were left inside the original casing and created a clone of the Reconnaissance Dalek, who has then been cloning itself to then put into the new Dalek casing so they can be the new Daleks. And in order to stop them, the Doctor has to call the Skaro Daleks to come down and exterminate them. All the while, Jack Robertson thinks this is all a great business plan and is brought along because of his involvement and in attempts to make a deal with the Daleks himself. that's more or less the plot of Revolution of the Daleks. So, my thoughts before we go too long, because it's been over 7.25 minutes of recording. I'll be cutting a lot out because of fucking bloopers. Okay, so honestly, I think this is a great episode. This is a really great episode. I thought it was absolutely fun, really enjoyable. On my first reading, it was one of my favourite episodes of the Whittaker era. So far, I'd probably put it fourth at the moment. That is currently Woman Who Fell to Earth's position. Was Woman Who Fell to Earth's position. It might be above that. It might be right below that. It might be fifth, then, which would take it over Resolution. I will, when I rewatch it, I'll make a definitive opinion. But after the first viewing, I thought this was a fantastic episode. After thinking about it, and even when watching it, there were a few niggles. First off, well, the first 5 minutes were really great. I felt like the episode was one of the greatest episodes of the era so far, just from those first 5 minutes with the setup with Robertson, the politician who becomes Prime Minister, and Leo. Just the whole setup was really great. Although, I still don't know why people go, why with Doctor Who openings they have a long time ago, and then it's something a bit silly. Now with Resolution, I don't think they said a long time ago, but that one would have made a bit more sense because that was 9th century compared to the 21st. But with this one, it was then kind of a funny, jokey one saying 2019, so 2 years ago. And Twice Upon a Time had it as well. A long time ago, a long time ago, 500 or something episodes ago. No, 786 or something episodes earlier. For the 10th planet. What felt even odder is that it had an extra bit after the Flash, the 10th planet shot the archive footage and recreation scenes, and then it had this, once upon a time at the South Pole, the Doctor refused to regenerate twice, or something afterwards. Do one or the other, but I'll talk about that when I do the Twice Upon a Time review, maybe. Anyway, back to this episode. Now, the Doctor being in the prison stuff actually doesn't really contribute a lot to the episode, really. I mean, she gets out pretty quickly thanks to Captain Jack. There's some nice fan service in there. I think it was done well enough to not be considered in your face. I think it was done pretty well. But it does feel a little bit unnecessary. I mean, the only reason it's kind of there is so that A, there's a big cliffhanger at the end of the last episode to tie in with this episode, and B, it's so that the fam can wait 10 months since the from when they last saw the Doctor, but we can still put that down to TARDIS issues. The TARDIS doesn't always arrive back where it's supposed to be when it's supposed to be. Take a look at Aliens of London, for example, where they were gone 12 months as opposed to 12 hours. So when the Doctor thought she'd only been 10 minutes, she ended up being 10 months. Possibly. The prison stuff actually has the Doctor there for about 20 years, give or take. They mentioned about Jack's been there for about 19 years, so he can help break her out. At least I think that's what he said. But I'm not quite sure. But the whole prison stuff actually doesn't really contribute much to the episode, which is a surprise, because that was half the marketing tool, that it was the Doctor was in prison, the fam and Jack have to deal with these Daleks on Earth. But nope, Jack does break her out, which is sort of what we were kind of expecting. But she is pretty much in the main action. In fact, the fam don't really get very far without her. They confront Robertson, but he has security around him, so they don't really get much. Plus, he doesn't know what the Daleks are, so they really don't get very far before the Doctor and Jack turn up. So, yeah, you could have just said the Doctor was just 10 months late coming back after the events of the last story, and that would have been it. Oh, and the whole stuff about reflecting on who she was, she kind of sort of sorted that out at the end of the last episode anyway. How her memories didn't compute with what she learnt in the Timeless Children doesn't really change a thing. That seemed to be what that episode was going for, and now this episode says she reflected on that over the last 20 odd years. and she's not any closer to finding out any answers. So the whole prison stuff turns out to not actually contribute a lot. As for Jack, I don't know whether how pointful he was to the story, but he was used really well. Chris Chibnall writes him fantastically, which is good because he wrote Torchwood series 1 and 2, or episodes from those two series. So he was able to get back into writing Jack really well for his 2 appearances in this episode and Fugitive of the Jadoon. And Jack is definitely very much in character, as well as also a nice couple of references to series 1 with how Jack became immortal in the first place. And John Barrowman slips into the role really well. I think in an interview he mentions he slips back into it like it was 2007, which was when he came back for series 3. In the final 3 episodes of that series. But yeah, John Barrowman is fantastic as Captain Jack, and Chris Chibnall writes him really well, which is good because he's had experience. And he probably also enjoys writing for Captain Jack. And the same could be said for the Daleks. Okay, say what you like about Chris Chibnall's writing, but Chris Chibnall gets the Daleks. He knows how to write the Daleks. He is fantastic at writing the Daleks. Resolution and Revolution of the Daleks show beyond a doubt that Chris Chibnall is the best writer of the Daleks since Russell T Davies. This is the best Dalek episode since 2008, in my opinion. I mean, next Doctor Who review I will be doing on this channel will be The Magician's Apprentice and the Witch's Familiar, which is another Stephen Moffat Dalek story. Moffat isn't very good at writing the Daleks. Mark Gatiss got it. He was pretty good with writing the Daleks with Victor of the Daleks. Moffat, apart from when they were used in small doses, was when he did the big stories, he wasn't very good. And Phil Ford kind of worked with him on Into the Dalek. He might have been a bit better, but Moffat, apart from when the Daleks were in small doses, wasn't very good with Dalek stories. In fact, they were the worst ones of the new series. However, Chris Chibnall gets the Daleks. He writes them absolutely fantastically. They are totally in character. They are magnificent. And the Reconnaissance Dalek in Resolution and its clone in this story are pretty sadistic for Daleks. They are quite sadistic, and I think that is a trait handled well. I also like how Chibnall experiments with writing the Daleks. Not only can he write Daleks fantastically, but he's also brave enough to experiment with these Dalek stories for his first 2. With Resolution, it was having the Dalek out of its casing, forcing a human to create its own casing. This story, it's got a clone of that mutant, then having a lot more Daleks and then putting them into the casings whilst the other Daleks are brought to deal with them. So, pretty brave, come to think of it. This is genius writing on Chris Chibnall's part, and I'm not going to say that terribly often. It's really these 2 episodes, Resolution and Revolution of the Daleks, where Chris Chibnall really is a genius when tackling the main villain. Of course, he's very good at writing other returning villains like the Cybermen, the Master, the Jadoon. He's very good at writing them. Okay, maybe Vinay Patel wrote the Jadoon more than he did. Alongside historical stories and historical figures, returning monsters and villains seem to be the strongest aspect of writing in the Chibnall era. And I think the best example of that is the Daleks. In this episode in Resolution, Chibnall just gets the Daleks. And I think he loves writing for them as well. So I'm wondering if he'll write them for the 2022 New Year special, because he seems to be keeping them for specials at the moment, as opposed to the regular episodes. But we'll see when the time comes. As for Jack Robertson, he's less annoying than in Arachnids in the UK, and they're not trying to parody a Trump in this episode. He was very much a Trump parody in the last one. But whilst there is still similarities between the 2 of them, remember this episode was written in 2019 and it was filmed in 2019. Whilst there were still parallels between Donald Trump and Jack Robertson, he was less of a Trump parody in this episode and just more of a greedy businessman who saw deals in places. It kept him in character from what he was in Arachnids, but less of a Trump parody. And whilst Robertson's still a little bit annoying, it's totally in character from what we saw in his previous appearance, and therefore I think he's handled better here. Chris Newth also does a pretty good performance in this episode. I will say that it's that the Prime Minister character, the politician character Robertson was bringing in, trying to help out, was a little bit underused. She was there a few times and then she got exterminated. Same with Leo, the guy who was doing the tech stuff. Unlike the archaeologist Lynn in Resolution, the Dalek let her go alive, whilst in this story, the Dalek mutant clone um, didn't let Leo alive. Didn't leave him alive. It killed him when it left him. There's also this bit where Leo's phoning up his family to say he's not going to be able to make it home. He's going to be a bit later, and we know he's already been possessed by the Dalek by then. That's an obvious sign of the character's not going to make it. That being said, Robertson makes it, even though there were clear, obvious signs that he looked like he was not going to make it when he was trying to make a deal with the Daleks. Okay, I also have to mention, whilst I think the bronze Daleks that turn up, the ones from Skaro, look absolutely fantastic. This is probably the best they've been looking since 2008. That these bronze Daleks have been. Maybe it's due to the lighting reasons. But considering there's apparently a special squad of Death Daleks or something, so I think they should have had some paintwork elsewhere on the casing that would have shown that they are the special squad. Big Finish and Time Lord Victorious have done a fantastic job in giving these Daleks, the 2005 designed Daleks, different colour schemes or additions to the colours, not just bronze, but other colours or other colours with the bronze to distinguish them from the normal warrior Time War Daleks. They've done a fantastic job with that. So it is a bit disappointing that the show hasn't caught on to that yet. They haven't, apart from the Supreme Dalek and Dalek Sec, they haven't really painted up the 2005 and the Emperor Guard ones in Parting Ways, but they haven't really painted up parts of the Bronze Daleks to show that they're a specific rank of Daleks. I think maybe a black midsection would have worked for to show this one. I'm also kind of disappointed that their leader is just another Bronze Dalek. I was half expecting Davros or the Supreme Dalek or a Black Dalek to turn up. In fact, it would have been great if we had a Black Dalek akin to Dalek Sec, and that could have followed up on my theory that the Black Daleks, like Dalek Sec, are the Dalek Task Force leaders, which are the Bronze Dalek, the Time War Daleks version of the Gold Dalek from Day of the Daleks. That would have been awesome, having a Black Dalek or some sort of leader on that spaceship. That would have been awesome. Or at least one Dalek with a slightly altered colour scheme to show that that one was the leader. That's my only disappointment. However, the Bronze Daleks look pretty great, as I mentioned. They're looking at maybe might be due to the lighting, but they're looking at their best since 2008. 2010, I think, was when the one single Bronze Dalek looked pretty dull, but again, that was probably due to lighting reasons, and they looked a bit better come Asylum of the Daleks. And that's one of the few positives I'm going to give that episode. Review on the Retro channel to go and check out. Oh, I say review / rant. That's really about it I can say for this episode without going into more spoiler details. But the way the Doctor is able to defeat the Bronze Dalek, who she has called to deal with the other Daleks, and then is going to get rid of the Bronze Daleks, it's a plan very reminiscent of the Seventh Doctor. I don't think it's exactly like a Seventh Doctor plan, but it's sort of reminiscing a Seventh Doctor plan, depending on how much of the plan was thought out in advance and how much was on the go. In either case, the Seventh Doctor would approve of this plan. But I won't go into talking about that too much because that is spoilers. And the other Daleks, the new casings, are destroyed by the Bronze Daleks. And then at the end of the episode, Jack goes off to visit Gwen. Apparently, she's got a son now. Whether this is Chris Chibnall thinking it's the child, her baby from Miracle Day, or whether he's added the fact that she's now got a son as well as a daughter, which is what she had in Miracle Day. I'm not quite sure. No, there was never a mention of her having a son between 2011 and 2021. It was a daughter in Miracle Day. But she could have had a son since then as well. So, yeah. Let's see. Within the last... Yeah, he probably would have... if born between 2011 and 2021... Yeah, he probably would have taken up boxing. Apparently, according to Jack, she punched the Dalek with her son's boxing glove. That A, sounds awesome, and B, sounds totally in character for Gwen Cooper. Anyway, Ryan and Graham then decide to leave because Ryan thinks it's about time to go. He's spent the last 10 months have made him realise it's probably better for him, and Graham decides to stay with him due to being family. Yaz, on the other hand, throughout the episode, has mentioned to have been struggling without the Doctor for the last 10 months, so she's not going anywhere. She's staying with the Doctor. So the fam splits, and Ryan and Graham have a nice couple of minutes wrapping up at the end, including a bit where Graham helps Ryan ride his bike again, just like at the start of Woman Who Fell to Earth. A nice wrap up to their character stories. I'm not going to say these three characters have had the best character development of any companion. I mean, Ryan and Graham got some pretty good character growth connection in Series 11, a good character arc over a couple of episodes. And then they kind of just stuck around for Series 12. Yaz got a bit better in Series 12, but not an awful lot. I mean, I think she got more closer to Clara in the 2013 specials in Series 12, following Clara Series 7 Part 2 in Series 11, excluding Bells of St. John and The Rings of Akaten, and parts of Name of the Doctor. Oh dear. Hopefully Series 13 will then make her like Series 8 Clara, minus that bit from Listen where she tried to make a dig at Danny. You know, the bit about Danny digging for water. We also seem to be getting a new companion, possibly played by comedian John Bishop in Series 13. I would have liked to have had a series with 13 and Yaz, but maybe this character will come in and maybe make a balance or something. I'm not quite sure. Considering we haven't actually had an episode with the Doctor and one of her fam members for a whole episode. We've had parts of episodes, but not whole episodes. It would have been nice to see a bit more. So maybe for the first episode, we'll see a Dr. Yaz. What's the words? Let's see, working to no, I don't know what the bloody words are, but together without somebody else on the team, they'll probably be working together, working off each other, and hopefully we'll get some Yaz character growth and development in Series 13. Okay, we got a little bit in Series 12, but hopefully we'll get some more. And then after maybe the first episode, we'll have John Bishop's character onto the team, who looks like he's working in Liverpool. I think that's Liverpool in the trailer shot. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, so that's my reaction to Resolution of the Daleks. Sorry, it's quite a long one, and I had to cut out a lot of things as well. Thankfully, this isn't going to be a one-take reaction. This is going to be a filmed and edited ones like the other Series 12 ones. Resolution of the Daleks will be considered Series 12, and annoyingly, Resolution is now back to being considered Series 11. A few weeks ago, it's back to being considered Series 11. So, me re-editing the Series 11 ranking and putting that out, re-releasing it in April last year, and including Resolution on the Series 12 one that followed, that's still pointless now. Thanks whoever edited those wiki pages. Now Resolution's back in Series 11, even though it's on the Series 12 box set, and Resolution of the Daleks is on is part of Series 12, even though it's probably going to be on the Series 13 box set. Series 13 box set, please include your own special when that one gets broadcast, so that the next series doesn't have to have it on its own one. Have your own specials on your box sets, not the last series'. Yeah. Okay, I think Revolution would have been on this one's box set anyway, because the Series 12 one was released in April, but Resolution could still have been on the Series 11 one. Okay, so yeah, I will redo the Series 11 and Series 12 rankings after the revisitation release comes. Resolution will go on Series 11's. It'll go back there as it originally had been. And Series 12 will get Revolution of the Daleks. And Series 13 will have its own special when it comes. So, yeah, that's about it. But final thoughts on the episode. It was a great episode. There was a few niggles I had with it, like, I think the climax was as great as the Doctor's plan was, and very Seventh Doctor-esque. It was a little bit rushed, which is the thing I find common with the Chibnall episodes. The Doctor in the Prison stuff, kind of a bit pointless, to be honest. Some nice fan service and a good way to introduce Captain Jack, and a good explanation for why the Doctor wasn't there her fan for 10 months, and it does knock off a couple more decades for Jodie's Doctor. And there was some good fan service, but overall, it wasn't terribly pointless. Captain Jack, I don't know whether he needed to be in this episode, but it was certainly great having him in this episode. Fan were well utilised, and I like the Doctor's bit with Ryan when they have a moment to talk. It's good to have a couple of moments of talking and character growth in some action-packed episodes. And unlike Resolution, it doesn't come out of we've got these two plot points kind of fighting for space in this episode. No, it actually works in really well this time round. But like I said, I think that climax is a bit quick. It is quickly fast-paced. Towards the end, a little bit too much, but it still works pretty well. And that's really about it. This has been one of the best episodes of the Whittaker era. After a first viewing, it might go down a little bit after the second, but certainly I thought it was a really great episode. Current score, I did think 10 out of 10 when watching it, but it might be a 9 now. The review, I'll probably give it an 8 or a 9 in the review, which would still put it in the top 5, 6, 7 of the 13th Doctor era stories. At current time, I'm putting it top 3 or top 4 or top 5. If it's a 9 or a 10. If it's a 10, it'd be top 4. If it's a 9, it would be top 4 to 6 or 7. And if it's an 8, top 7 to 10. Ish. But, yeah, it was a great episode. Actually, if I prefer this to Resolution, I gave that a 9. I think this one might hold out the 9 score. Possibly. But I'll let you know in the Universal's review and the Series 12 Revisitations ranking. Or re-ranking, whatever I call it. That's it from me. Thank you for watching this reaction. All I can now say is, roll on Doctor Who Series 13 whenever you're ready. Which will probably be in October or November. Great, another 10 to 11 months to wait. We had to wait 10 months since the last episode. And it was... I actually felt very relieved when I saw this episode, because it was a big strain, 10 months waiting. It was probably the most difficult wait between episodes. But even if it's not the longest, it's been the most difficult due to A, what happened at the end of The Timeless Children, and B, what happened in the rest of 2020, following the 1st of March 2020, what happened afterwards. You know, this is exactly what we needed after both of those incidents. So, yeah, but now we're going to have to wait another 10 to 11 months for the next episode. However, 2021 should hopefully be a better year, and with this episode behind us, and with things to look forward to in Series 13, including new companion, possibly played by John Bishop, the return of the Sontarans and the Weeping Angels, and potentially more exciting adventures, plus also hopefully getting those bloody answers from what we learned earlier in Series 12. We got a lot to look forward to in Series 13. So, yeah, and it's only going to be 7 or 8 episodes, depending if they have a special or not. But whenever they're ready, roll on Series 13. I look forward to it. And in the meantime, we've still got plenty of Doctor Who to watch. As I mentioned, the Series 9 reviews shall be coming on this channel later this month. And then Series 10, 11 and 12 revisitation reviews. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the Universal's channel for my Revolution of the Daleks review when it comes out. And other great videos on that channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Nicholas Payne YouTube channel.